You must listen to this entire message before entering a selection. To accept this call, press 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press none. You may enter a selection now.
Welcome to Accept This Call, a very special episode. Looks a little different than usual. What's going on?
We have our friend Breanna here today, and she was out on a family vacation and came to see me. Her boyfriend is also incarcerated at the same facility as our guys, and that's how we all kind of met.
Okay, well, let's just jump right in. Don't you love when people say that? Let's just jump right in. Okay, so tell us about you and Colin. Like, both of us sort of know, but share all the good parts with everybody and the bad parts if you want.
Good and bad. Okay, so starting off, I don't even remember officially how we actually met, but I was 12, maybe 13. It was 8th grade, and we started just hanging out, and we had mutual friends, and we were bad kids. We used to sneak out together, out my window and meet up, and it was bad. So yeah, we dated in 8th grade, on and off, and then high school came around, and basically we kind of fell off for a while. I went to a completely different high school. He went to a Catholic high school in town. And yeah, we weren't really fond of each other in high school, at all. I don't know why, but he was just a douchebag for sure. And then yeah, I used to go to parties and stuff, and I'd see him out, and major douchebag. So, and then I went to college for a year to play volleyball. And in Fort Dodge, actually, it's kind of funny. So I played volleyball at Iowa Central for a year, and then I found out, he was getting sent away and stuff, and he got out on bond and texted my phone, hi, smiley face. I was like, what? It came out of left field completely. Was not expecting it. So yeah, I got home from college that year, and we started hanging out, and he was still the same major douchebag. I'd hang out with him one night and not hear from him for a month, typical guy. And then yeah, he got sent away, and stuff, and I think I wrote him. He had been in for maybe a year, and he didn't write me back for quite a while, and then he finally wrote me back, and he started calling me and stuff, and we weren't even talking then.
What did you when you found out that he was going to prison, what was your first thought or initial reaction, or how did you feel?
Honestly, I hadn't really talked to him for probably a couple years before, that happened, but I was like, what? And I didn't really know, honestly, till I started visiting him, I didn't know the full nature of his crime. He didn't really, I heard from his friends, obviously, kind of what was going on and stuff, but I didn't know the full story. But yeah, I found out, and I just didn't really believe it. I knew he was kind of hanging with the wrong crowd and stuff, and obviously we completely fell off. He was into the whole party night out scene, and I was too, but guys are on a whole different level, and I was I'm not about that, no. And I would try communicating with him, but he wanted nothing to do with me. So
what was it that made Colin say, all right, I guess she deserves my time,
Actually, when I first started visiting him, which was August of 2018, I had a boyfriend at the time. And yeah, so actually he found out through, he found out through his mom that I had a boyfriend, and he wrote me a letter and talked about it in there. And yeah, obviously me and my boyfriend broke up, and Colin would talk about it, in the letters and stuff, and he's obviously he knew I was with this guy, and he would be well, I hope I find that sort of person one day, my person to travel with and all this stuff. And he would talk about that, and then he started calling me more, and we started talking more. I would be with my boyfriend, and Colin would call me. Yeah, and the thing, I was very upfront, I guess, with my boyfriend at the time. Like, he knew Colin would call me, you know, he knew he wrote me letters and stuff, but one day, like, he started reading through my stuff and Colin was like, I like you. Well, like, you know, like we had a history and this, my boyfriend knew that. But yeah, I don't know. I think he finally realized, you know, like we had a super deep connection. And I mean, even though I wasn't in a relationship at the time, like I still thought about him often, obviously. And like my boyfriend at the time knew, like, Colin was always the one person I always went back to, like, no matter who or what it was. So, and then, yeah, he finally decided, he was like, I don't think I'm going to have a connection with anybody else, you know, like ours is, because we go so far back. Like, we were each other's, like, first loves, everything. And, I mean, he used to, you know, like, other girls would write him, and he'd tell me all about it, and when we weren't together, and send him pictures. And I started visiting him, and like the first visit he was like, can I kiss you? Because I had a boyfriend at the time, and it was like I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I don't even know what I said, but he did. So
That's shocking. Oh my gosh. Did the boyfriend at the time find out? Did you tell him?
Yeah, because no. So I'm bad. He read through our letters. I was writing a letter back to Colin, and I mentioned it in there. And I mean, obviously that's shitty on my part, but it wasn't gonna work, obviously. So yeah,
it's very deep-rooted connection, which is nice to I'm sure that when people are in prison too, that like just a little bit of like normalcy and a sense of home is something that they like really cling to. So for both of your guys' relationships too, it's something that they're so familiar with and like feels very like secure and steady, which is super awesome. Like I'm sure that that's super important to them too.
Yeah,
I love
that makes sense.
We did these, I asked these things on, I don't want to just like get into it, but I don't want to forget about these, but I asked on my Snapchat, I was like, what are some assumptions that people have about like prison wives is what the general term is, I guess. Because I feel like all three of us kind of, you know, subvert those expectations in certain regards. So let's just like say them and then completely debunk them because I already know that it's going to be true. So, so the first one that I got was that they cheat on their significant other.
Woo. No. I would feel so freaking bad. Like I could not live with myself, and my family and friends would just like punch me in the throat probably.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I'm a guilty conscious person. Like, 100%. I'd overthink it, and I'd be like, yo, and I'd feel horrible, and like probably never forgive myself.
And I'm a bad liar. Like I couldn't even lie to Ben, even if I wanted to. Like I would just be like,
I feel like Colin would know. Like,
so what were you doing? I'd be like, oh, I was hanging out with Breanna, and he would be like, I thought that she left 2 days ago, and I'd be like,
I don't even think about it. Like if I think about doing that, it makes me feel disgusting. So I'm like, okay, probably not gonna even, I don't know. It's just hard to explain, you know? Yeah. It's just something that you just like, no, I'm not gonna do it when you find that person, I think.
Yeah.
So
100%.
We debunked that one. Done.
Right.
Oh, this one kind of hurts my heart a little bit.
No.
You ready? They can't find anyone better. I know! People are mean.
Well, I know for me, that was like, that's a big fear of mine when Ben comes home. And it's not that, and you know, like I always tell him there's like prettier, skinnier, better, smarter, faster girls out there. And his response is always, well, they're not you, and they didn't do what you've done for me. And so that's kind of reassuring for me. It's like, he's like, they weren't there 4 years. I haven't known them since we were 12, 13 years old. And he'll say like, he'll even go to the extent of being like, I don't know what kind of like where their freaking mouth has been and their freaking vagina's been, like all this stuff. And he's like, I know you, and I know like where yours has been basically. So
yeah. What about the opposite side of like that we can't find anybody better? Like we can't find a better man than somebody in prison. That's the way that I kind of interpreted it. I'm seeing it but like they're like, oh, they must, you know, that's all they can find is like bottom of barrel, whatever, guy in prison.
Have you seen those
Breanna's
memes
like, I have
that, like,
plenty of suitors, plenty of people want me.
I think though, like, even like Colin's told me like he's had conversations with Ben about the fact, like, or Ben's asked him or he's asked Ben like, are you worried about the distractions you may have, when you get out of prison, like girl wise or, obviously like anything like that. And I mean, Colin straight up told me, he's like, I know there's going to be obviously distractions and other people that are going to tempt me, but it's just too, like, on another level, like the connection we have, you can't really beat that. So
for sure. And I think too, like, going back to the very first episode that we ever talked about, and something that I have to remind myself a lot is that it's not that much different from any other relationship in regards to these kinds of things. Like, you know what I mean? There's always going to be temptations. There's always going to be other people in the world, no matter if your partner is in prison or not. Like, that's just every couple has to deal with. So when people are like, when they think of it like that, I'm like, why is that just a stigma for one type of relationship when it's something that everybody deals with?
Here, I found my meme. It says, dudes be like snorting coke, drinking and driving, and stealing looks like grading cards or something. And then it's like, but then talk about my man being locked up. You can be just as big of a piece of shit of what you think my boyfriend is in prison.
Okay, next one. This one, again, very straightforward, and I was like, you guys are jerks. Uneducated.
I have associates and a bachelor's and a makeup artistry certification and phlebotomy certification, and
do I need to go on?
Do I need to go on? What else can I pull out of my hat?
We can talk about the future because we talked about your guys' past.
How much time does Colin have left then?
So right now his mandatory minimum is up. Obviously, it kind of changed in a sense, but February 18th of 2023. So about 2.5 years, a little over.
Wow. So do you guys plan for the future and like what's gonna happen when he comes home, or have you? I'm sure you've probably thought about it a little bit.
In a sense, some, yeah. I mean, he doesn't really know yet what he wants to do. Obviously, he's in school and they're not right now because of COVID. But he doesn't really know what he wants to go to school for, like, full time. But his family know he's moving in with me once he comes home. So obviously that's gonna happen. I don't know like how long he'll have to stay in Iowa or like in Waterloo area, which I'm hoping it's not very long because I feel like obviously like Waterloo was home to both of us, but at the same time, like that's kind of where things, like went down and went wrong in a sense. And I'd like to just move on from that and move on to somewhere new. So whether it be like Des Moines just to get out of Waterloo until he can leave the state or, like move farther away. But I don't know 100% like where we want to go.
Waterloo isn't very big, right? And you even told me before too, you're like, yeah, I have friends that knew Jake like before and everything like that. People are always going to associate like Colin, Ben, and Jake with their crimes as much as we don't want them to. That's what's always going to be attached to them in these small communities. So is that like worrisome for you because you still live in that community that you guys both grew up in?
I don't think so. Like, I don't worry about that in a sense because, like, if people truly know Colin and know all the things, like, he's done while he's been incarcerated, and the thing that actually really sucks and it's sad, like, he's been in 4.5 years now, and none of his friends besides maybe 2 have come to see him, So he'll tell me, like, daily, like, if people want to be in my life, they can, but if you're not going to make an effort, like, I get it, but I'm not going to hit you up when I come home. He's like, honestly, I'll have time to, like, make new friends, new states, new places, and you won't have to worry about all the past crap and the people who obviously don't care and haven't cared throughout all this time and tried to even be there for him. So
is he that kind of guy that's like sociable and like wants to go out and like try new activities, do things with friends? Like, is that kind of who he is?
Yeah, I would say like, yeah, Colin's always been like the life of the party in a sense, but
he's always like,
that's the thing. I think being in prison too, in a sense, he's kind of reserved, But yeah, he's definitely one who wants to like adventure and just like I do, like he wants to do new things and go new places and meet new people, you know? And he's like, I'll find new friends wherever I go who have the same interests and who want the like good in things. And yeah.
What else have we talked about? And we've kind of shared a little bit about us. We talked about telling our friends and family.
My mom is probably like my best friend. Like she used to hate Colin. Mind you, like literally hate Colin. We go back obviously like 10 years and she'd catch us like sneaking out and just doing wild things, let's just say. But yeah, so my mom's side of the family, everyone knows. Honestly though, my dad does not know about Colin. So that's a whole nother probably topic. Like, no, at all. Him and his wife, and then like my stepmom's family, they don't know about Colin. My dad's rest of the family knows about Colin, and my whole mom's side knows. I feel like though, like there's a time coming very soon where the talk's gonna happen. And I mean, I've always kind of like not been like afraid of my dad, but like I don't stand up to him like I should. But also, I already know what his response is gonna be, and I don't care because it's not gonna change my opinion or how I feel either way. So that's why like I just don't even want to have the conversation. But
is there any like hope that the response you think you're gonna get is, I'm assuming you're thinking that he's gonna be like not okay with it,
yeah,
you know?
100%.
Do you think that there's any like chance that he would be like, I trust you and your judgment?
Probably not, but Colin's not very fond of the facts. Like my dad doesn't know about the situation, and actually he brought that up while I was out here and we were on the phone one night, which I 100% like, I totally get it. But he's just like, I don't know, like, you know, you like want to spend the rest of your life with me, and I don't know like why your dad doesn't know about me. But I just tell him like, I'm gonna tell him before you come home. There's gonna be like a perfect time to tell him. It just hasn't been yet because I don't want his retaliation, you know. I don't want to deal with that right now in a sense. And Colin's like, well, I feel like you're hiding me in the dark. And I'm like, it's nothing, you know, like to do with you. It's just my father, and obviously he doesn't know how my father is. So, like, I'll tell him, like, I don't really expect you to understand in a sense. And then he freaks out. He's like, yeah, you're calling me stupid.
I know.
Like, no, like, because you don't know my dad and how he is.
Do you think that, like, when the time comes to tell your dad and he, like, reacts the way you say he's going to, that everybody, like, on his side of the family is just going to be like, chill out. It's not as big of a deal. Do you think, you know what I mean? Like, they'll have your back in that sense?
I hope so, and I think so.
What do you think is gonna happen when you tell him and he's like, yeah, I already knew?
I was thinking that too. Yeah, I was like,
I'm like, gonna drop dead.
He's gonna be like, I was just been waiting for you to tell me. Freaking dumb.
Yeah. All of our boyfriends are kind of in for the same thing. I know you guys have talked about it, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my boyfriend.
So basically, people, especially in Iowa, get sentenced under a mandatory minimum. They get sentenced a maximum amount of time, and then they have to do a certain percentage of that time before they can even go see the parole board. So like me or Ben and Jake, they have first degree robbery. So they got a 25-year sentence, and they have to do 70% of that time. So they have to at least do 17 and a half years. Whereas Breanna's boyfriend has second degree, so he got sentenced 10 years, still has to do 70% of that time, and so has to do 7 years. And that's before they can even go see the parole board.
It was 2016. I don't know if you guys have talked about that on here yet. That was it's not retroactive. So as of like July, I think 2016, if you committed the same crimes any of our boyfriends have, you only have to serve at least 50% of your sentence before you're eligible for parole. And I mean, which I think is very unfair. And that's too kind of what I brought up in my emails I sent out a few months ago. Like, hey, why can't we make this retroactive? And Mary Wolf brought up a point where she's like, I tried throwing it into a bill, you know, but they caught it and they ripped it out every time.
In the bills, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a bill.
She threw it in a farm bill, she said.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in a bill about like mandatory minimum laws or anything like that. It can be in a bill about farming or education or anything like that. It could just be a quick little zoop. And so a lot of times that's how a lot of laws get pass.
The
And
thing that I think about a lot with mandatory sentencing too, and we talked about this last night, so I might be repeating something I've already said too, is that it's like every single person that I've talked to about mandatory sentencing has agreed with me and been like, that's weird. Like, why is that even a law? So again, like with you guys, I'm wondering what's holding people back so much. Because I also think it's crazy that like, you can live your life a certain way in prison. Like you can move a kind of way in prison and be really awesome, do a lot of cool stuff. And you're still going to be doing the same amount of time as the guy that's over there getting in trouble every week, going to the hole, doing whatever because of this sentencing. Like it does not encourage rehabilitation, and it does not encourage like being better. I don't think it doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not progressive in any way, in my opinion.
Mary Wolf literally told me on the phone when I talked to her, she's like, it's a proven fact, like 3 years of incarceration, longer than that does not like make a person better after that, you know, like it doesn't rehabilitate them anymore after they've been in 3 years. Like that's their time that it takes for a person to like be rehabilitated. So that time after, I mean, in a sense, is kind of just wasting time. Yeah,
it's like almost doing the opposite now.
Exactly.
It's like
it's bad on their mental health.
Yeah, they're
like,
sitting, they're wondering like, okay, I'm pretty sure I've learned everything that I could out of this time. So what else am I supposed to be learning right now? Like, this is crazy.
Thanks everybody for watching this very special episode of To Accept This Call. Thank you so much, Breanna.
Coming to see us and doing this. We'll have to do a 3-way one when you're back in Iowa. And then like another one when I'm in Iowa with you guys. Hopefully
we can all be
visit
together. That would be like like actually in the same room. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that stuff. All that.
Apple Podcasts.
Yes, all of that. And we'll see you
Our
guys.
thing. Bye, thank you.
Bye.